What's up, ladies and gents? xcalizorz here, bringing you some more from the desk of xcal. Look at that, 4 weeks straight. Look at that consistency. It's a beautiful thing, right? And just as long as we don't run out of things to talk about. But if we do, I could always go disappear from the YouTubes for like 6 or 7 years, and then I'll have 3 videos worth of things to talk about. I guess we'll see going forward, right? But anyway, I think today's episode will be a little on the shorter side. Not as many things to talk about this week, but what I do have for you, a couple of game recaps for you. We did touch up on Metroid Dread a little bit last week, and I did finish it. Well, I guess I did finish that line. Wait, no, I finished it like a day after I posted that video. But overall, pretty damn good entry to the Metroidvania genre, I'd say. And the second ever Metroid game that I have ever beaten. What? Wait, no. I lied. The third Metroid game I've ever beaten. I've only beaten Metroid Prime 1 and Metroid Prime 3. I got sick of Metroid Prime 2, so I stopped playing it. And I was almost pretty fed up with Metroid Prime 1, but I soldiered through. And I probably would have beaten Super Metroid as a kid, but the kid I borrowed it from way back once upon a time in the 90s, I guess his cartridge was bummy because my save would always end up getting corrupted, and that was I think that was a game that actually had like save files, not those goofy like 16 character codes that you could expect from like Mega Man X. If any of you youngins wait, no, not youngins. Any of you boomer gamers out there remember that? They used to have a password system for save files. Well, not really save files. Like, what it is like the password would basically be set up in a combination of ways that would pretty much determine like the state of the game where you left off, like depending on like your current power-ups, what bosses you've beaten, what you've collected, how many like extra lives you currently have. You know, it was like a save state of like where you left everything up, but they had to do it in like code form, and there was like a code for every possible combination. So that's how they did it. Didn't expect to be explaining that, but just in case you were interested, if you were, a little on the younger side here, yeah, that's how they did things. But Super Metroid, on the other hand, actually had save files, and the cartridge I was playing on, I guess, was a big giant piece of shit, because every time I'd get close to the end, I'd call it quits for the day or what have you, and I never beat it. My save would end up corrupt. I remember trying 3 times, and it just never happened. I was like, you know what? All right, you know what? Fuck it, Kevin. Take it back. I'm sick of your fucking shitty cartridge. It was a good game, though. It's I don't know if they put it on like the online store or whatever. I don't even know if it's there. We'll probably take a gander at it because that was pretty. That was one of the primo Super Nintendo games back in the day. But I mean, not much Metroid experience on my part outside of the Metroid Prime series. Yeah, I guess that's really pretty much it. I mean, then again, do they really make that many Metroid games? I mean, how long have we been waiting for this Metroid Dread to come out? But they went back. They went back to 2D Metroidvania style. I fucking love that genre of game. The Metroidvania. I mean, the Castlevania DS games. Again, as I've said, fucking love those games. Symphony of Night. I mean, that soundtrack just absolutely goated. And if you are into those sort of games, I'd recommend giving Bloodstained a try. I think you get about maybe 15, 20 hours out of one playthrough, maybe 10 if you're a god. I don't know. I don't know how long it took me. I think I played through it twice. But that's also really good. I mean, it's pretty much Castlevania, 2D Castlevania, under a different IP. I think one of the, I don't know, like the main director, some Castlevania bigwig, head honcho, whatever, headed up Bloodstained, and I think they got the composer who did Symphony of the Night to do Bloodstained as well, and it's phenomenal game. But Metroid Dread overall, very, very fun, enjoyed pretty much everything. Couple of optimization issues. I mean, I'll never not notice the frame rate dropping below 60, and it will never not drive me up the wall. And in some instances, Uh, it sometimes feels like you're not in 100% control of your character. Like, I don't know, the way the double jump works when like you really need to like spam it and such is it's the mechanics behind that elude me. I don't know, maybe I become a speedrun master and start downloading, eating some Adderall. I mean, maybe it'll come natural, but a few instances the movement's like, what the why is it not coming out? But overall, very, very good game. And if you got a Switch, I see no reason not to pick it up, unless you just hate Metroidvania. In which case, I say, what went wrong in your childhood? A lot of good games you're missing. You're missing out on. All right, moving on. Doom Eternal had a free update that came out yesterday. 2 new master levels and a horde mode came out for free. We checked that out, and I guess it's a sign of me getting old. But after about 5.5 hours of playing through the 2 master levels and the horde mode, my hands were so fucking cramped up and hurt. And it's like all right, so the base game of Doom Eternal is really good. I think tons of fun. Nightmare and I didn't really agree too much. Like I'm not wasn't a fan of the hyper aggression and the fights in the tiny rooms and shit. Very upsetting when I was first going through, but eventually as I played through again and yeah, I guess as they say, got good, you got a little better. I mean you can work your way through it, right? But anyway, but besides the fucking point, not here to rant about that. Base game of Doom Eternal is great, but with the DLC, I feel like it seems like they ran out of ideas because they made the Doom Slayer too strong. And so like the only way to sort of I don't know, present any form of challenge whatsoever was to just give the enemies increased attack speed and health and increased damage. Sort of the Bethesda way of doing things. I mean the spirit demon and the screecher bums who buff the enemies if you slaughter them on accident or what have you. It's I don't know. It's like at that point, it's like what the fuck. It seems it reeks of laziness to me, and it's not exactly fun fighting one of those I don't know those Dread Knights or the Barons of Hell or what I don't even know the names of some of these enemies. I just shoot stuff. But some of those enemies when they get possessed, it's just wow, this is really fun. And the first master level, what was it, the Mars core, wasn't so bad. We pretty much plowed through that, no problems at all. But the DLC master level map, the World Spear, I think it's called, was just chocked filled with those just increased health, increased damage, increased attacks. And it's not just like a slight increase to either of these things either. It is just massively increased on all fronts. And I'm just it seems like they sort of like wrote themselves into a corner. It's like sort of like Mass Effect 3. They made the Reapers too fucking strong, so then they had to pull out the goddamn Star Child, which by the way, free plug to the Austin Powers and Mass Effect 3 video. which is which is really brilliant and incredibly well done. I mean that is that's canon to me at this point, is Starchild getting conveniently punted by Austin Powers into the destruction ending. I am best ending that game could ever hope for. But yeah, it's like how BioWare wrote themselves into a corner by making the Reapers too strong. Fucking id Tech or Bethesda, yeah, id Tech, id Software. They sort of backed themselves into a corner by making the player too fucking strong. So they had to do what they did with the attack speed buffs and all that. And I'm just personally, I wasn't a fan. And anyone who wants to do that stuff on Nightmare, or God forbid Ultra Nightmare, you sir have my highest praises. I don't have the patience to put up with that shit. though. I think all you need to do to make that stuff relatively easier is learn how to stay high in the air for as long as possible. I think there's like with the previous master level they released, I tried it on Nightmare, and it's like a small domed room. And I think I spent like an hour and a half on it on Nightmare, and I couldn't fucking do it. And in all of my genius, whenever I'm presented with a cock block like that, these days my solution is to drink more alcohol, which is very counterintuitive. So before I start actually making any ground, I'm going downhill, and nothing really gets accomplished. But I'm sure there are some freak. I shouldn't even say it. I mean, there are some incredibly talented players out there, and I haven't even beaten. I can't even beat Ultra Nightmare yet, and if I put in the work, man. Nah, it's Ultra Nightmare. It's not easy, and I don't know. I just don't feel like putting in the time to grind it out, to be quite frank. But yeah. Anyway, and the Horde mode just seemed like it wasn't really a fan of how they did it too. I mean, like the funnest part of Doom is when you have the full loadout at your disposal. And at first you start with the simple. I mean, it's a decked out combat shotgun, but I don't know. It's pretty slow going until you get like 4 or 5 weapons. Then the combat loop, as they like to call it in their own game, by the way, which I just find absolutely goofy. is Nah, it didn't come together until like you get your fourth and fifth weapon and all that, and then by the end of it, they were throwing so many like Arkville and the Arkvilles too. Yeah, you leave an Arkville alive. Guess what? Yeah, hey, they buffed the enemies with speed and powers. They love that gimmick. They love that gimmick. Just make things faster and hit harder. I mean, just glorious. And just by the end of it, my hands were so hurt. Is getting too old for this shit. It used to only happen playing Devil May Cry, because you're inputting all just a lot of actions per minute there to make flashy combat. Used to only happen with that. Now it's happening with first-person shoot. Well, no, it doesn't happen with all first-person shooters, but I mean that's just how intense the Doom Eternal update, like that second master level in the Horde mode ended up being. Just too many. I'm getting too old for this shit. Time to become a controller player and plug in Chronos and let that do all the work for me. Hey-o! I like the Mars Core master level and the Horde mode. Kind of meh. Don't think I'll be going back to play that anytime soon. And that second master level at hard, pretty fucking hard and difficult. Took us like almost 2.5 hours to get through, and I was just playing on ultra violence too. So again, can't even imagine. Anyone who wants to who clears that on Nightmare, give yourself a big old pat on the back from your boy Bruce here. I am thoroughly impressed. And last topic to talk about today, PlayStation PC. About goddamn time. About time Sony wants to join the big boy. I kid. As I sit here and stare at my giant PS5 that I could fucking give someone a concussion with. Not that I'd want to. If I break this thing, man, who knows how long it'll be before I can get my hands on another one. But I have been. I'm looking forward to this. I mean, Bloodborne on PC would be, which I don't think is happening because reasons. maybe it will now that with this official PlayStation PC thoughts, because I think there's a huge Souls community, and I mean just the thought alone of playing Bloodborne at least a locked, consistent 60 FPS. I mean that's worthy of good 2 or 3 more playthroughs, I'd say. I mean just for me alone. There's all sorts of builds you can do in Bloodborne too, so. But, what we do know for sure, I mean, this was even before the official PlayStation PC was announced. God of War 2018 coming out to the PC. I'm looking forward to that. Really looking forward to that. I mean, man, it was a pretty good looking game. Frame rate leaves a little to be desired, and that FOV is absolutely the shits. It's just why they had that the gimmick of like the little like semicircle thing to show attacks that are coming behind you. Just imagine they had the camera out just by like another couple feet, however you measure that. Oh, I'm looking forward to that. But really, what I'm looking forward to even more than that is actually Uncharted 4, which I do believe comes out in December, maybe January. So pretty soon ish. I mean, unless I'm horribly mistaken and it's like next year, like next December, which I don't think it is. But I've never really liked the Uncharted series, and it's not because of like the graphics or the story or the soundtrack or the characters or anything like that. It's just I just don't think the gameplay matches with the controller at all. This is not to spark up like the mouse keyboard controller debate. I've always said that I think Uncharted would be a fantastic game on mouse and keyboard, and the fact that it's been a console exclusive for me personally has really just held it back. I mean, there's too much stuff. Like, even in like an Uncharted 2, it's like I mean the bad guy at the end, like he tells you, it's like, Drake, you know how many people you killed to get to me, right? Like, I mean, there's a lot of enemies on screen, and that AI is, well, I mean by my shitty controller skills. There's a lot of enemies for what I can do on the thumbsticks, and it's like every time I've played through all of them, well, 1 through 4. I don't know if there was any of the goofy like PSP or PS Vita exclusives or whatever. It's like, man, if this game was on mouse and keyboard, I could see this just really fucking working. It was like to compare it to like Max Payne 3 and the first of the Tomb Raider reboot. What was that made, like 2013, 2014? Shit, I think Tomb Raider is the best fucking Uncharted game there is. Just by virtue of it being on mouse and keyboard. I mean, hey, they kind of go through I mean, just Lara Croft's day gets worse and worse. That's kind of what Drake does too, and they both like to hunt for treasure, right? I guess it's just a shame that the second and third Tomb Raider games just went downhill from there. That's what I think about Tomb Raider. The modern Tomb Raiders, anyway. First one was great. Second and third games, mediocre. Oh, yeah, PlayStation PC. I mean, Sony finally bringing out the. I mean, fuck exclusives, man. I mean, you should be able to play on whatever platform you're most comfortable with, I'd say. So, looking forward to this. I mean, the more Sony stuff that gets put on PC, the better. I mean, Xbox has been doing it, Microsoft, whatever. But I guess you could have said before this, and they kind of needed to, because the Xbox has lost the market share to Sony. So I don't know, nice to see it. Really looking forward to giving Uncharted a try. Again, I've always maintained I think it'd be a fantastic game on PC, and I'm looking forward to see if that will indeed be the case. And then going forward, get the Horizon Zero Dawn sequel, God of War Ragnarok, and whatever the hell else Sony's got for us. Looking forward to it all being on good old PC. Really looking forward to that. But anyway, I think that's about all I have for you fine ladies and gentlemen today. So, thank you guys very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed. I'm out of here. I stink. It's shower time. Plus, we gotta go acquire tacos for the wonderful beasts of Casa del Rexos here, so, and all that fun stuff. So, wherever you may be, have a good night, have a good morning, have a good evening. We're out of here. Pup. Peace.